Hey everybody, you're listening to WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. This is Ross Johnson from the Sound of Tomorrow show. Coming up next on said show, we're going to be talking about the woke mob. They're at it again. We're going to be talking about drag bands, not drag bands, which are fun, but drag bands, which are less fun. We've also got some hot picks, and that's about it. That's pretty exciting. We're going to have some fun on the Sound of Tomorrow coming up next on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. But first,
Happy Pride, Ross.
oh, happy Pride to you, Heather. Unless you mean Rochester Pride, which is in July for some reason.
It's so that we can keep the party going all summer long.
And also because we're very bad at very simple math. But, humans have only one ending. Ideas live forever.
Um, yes.
Oh my God, Heather.
What?
I said humans have only one ending. Ideas live forever.
And I said, yes.
This is a critical bit of queer culture, Heather. I cannot believe you. This is shocking.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. But I'm always willing to be educated. So that's a what? A James Baldwin quote? Something scratched onto a brick at Stonewall.
What? No, Stonewall. What? No, it's from the Barbie movie.
The Barbie movie?
Yes, girl.
Millennia of queer culture. And you're fixated on the Barbie movie.
Yeah, Heather, I am. And you know what? The LGBTQIA plus community really doesn't need your commentary on what is and is not valid.
Fair. Jeez.
Padum, Heather.
The what?
Your heart. I can hear it going padum.
Sure.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Padum. Kylie Minogue's return to the charts? It's like you don't even care about my culture.
I do care.
That feels good.
Oh, I'm glad.
No! Oh my God, Heather, jeez. Jessie Ware? That feels good. Oh my God.
Sorry. I know all the RuPaul drag queens are.
Yeah, of course you do.
What does that mean?
Oh, no, nothing. It's fine.
I I know all about gay stuff. Marsha P. Johnson. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I saw that in theaters.
Okay, but do you know about any stuff from past like 1995?
Um, it gets better. Born This Way. Laverne Cox. Mayor Pete.
I mean, okay, I guess that's all a little more current.
Amy Schneider. Janelle Monáe. Fezco the Gay Dog. Lady Shug. I know LGBTQ stuff. I do.
Okay, fine. Oh my God, calm down. Jeez. God, you're so hyper. Fine. Wow. Okay. Ugh. I guess you do.
I do.
Okay, I get it. Well, okay. What? Oh my God. What is happening? Why are you? That is such a creepy dance you're doing. What are you even doing right now?
It's the Megan dance.
It's so creepy.
Can't stop.
Ow, stop flinging your arms around.
Celebrating Pride.
Ow. You're an evil
Such a
robot.
good dancer.
You are a good dancer, actually, though,
And an
for an evil robot. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. You're listening
The
to The
babe
Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
with the power.
That's the power.
Hi,
That's
everybody.
right. Oh boy, it's a great day, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it? Sure. Why not?
My notes are all out of order, and I don't know why.
Oh, honey.
Oh, that's why. I got it. So, Ross, as we discussed
Let's just
before,
pretend that never happened. Yeah.
as we discussed before we began this show, I had a lousy weekend.
You had a lousy weekend.
I had a lousy weekend.
I'm
Rarely do I
I'm gonna
have
pretend I
lousy
have
weekends.
I'm gonna pretend I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, Anybody out there who knows me, you know why I had a lousy weekend. Anybody who doesn't know me, maybe I'll talk about it someday. Not today. Today's not that day. But because I had a lousy weekend, I did a thing. We've talked about it. We're not supposed to do it. We know better. I
Oh, you can
engaged
do
on the
it.
internet.
Oh no, you engaged on the internet. That is so much worse than anything I thought you were going to say.
What did you what did you think I was gonna say? Like I I don't know what would be bad. Like I ate too much
It,
ice cream or something and give myself a stomach ache.
yeah, that is literally the naughtiest thing I can think of. That's a great example, Heather, of something that's really truly shocking. Very good.
No, I I did. I was bad. I will admit I was bad. I know better than to do this, but I was in a bad mood and I wanted to be snarky. This is not a good side of my personality, but it is one that exists that I try to mitigate whenever possible. But because hurt people hurt others, I
Yeah,
engaged in this behavior.
sure.
So so Ross, I gotta tell you though, it's real upsetting, and I'm surprised we didn't know about this already. The libs are at it again. Do you know what they did? Do you know what they did? Do you know what those
I
libs did? Do you know what
I
the
don't know.
woke mob did? The
I
woke
don't know
mob.
what they did.
Man, oh
So
man. So it was revealed to me that well over a year ago in April 6th, or this article is from April 6th, 2022. There is an article about PepsiCo announcing this week unveiling its new characters named Cracker Jill as part of the Cracker Jack brand in an effort to
Oh,
promote Cracker Jack, you know, the popcorn snack
yeah.
that take me out to the ball. There's Cracker Jill now, right?
Okay.
And it's in an effort to promote the accomplishments of women in sports. And they're also very clear about the inclusivity is inclusive of
Because
non-binary
crackers
people and trans people. So
because crackers can be jacks and chills, absolutely.
sure, sure. And I did not know about this radical change until
Because
I saw,
who the heck knows that Cracker Jacks are even still a thing?
well, you know, I have them for the fire parties, right?
I sure.
You've had Cracker Jacks on my patio.
Okay.
You got this sticker as the prize. And it
Yeah.
took both of us about 15 minutes to figure out how to unstick it.
Yes.
Do you remember this?
I'm just gonna
Are you
I'm
embarrassed to let
I'm
people
just kind
know
of
that we're actually friends?
I'm just kind of hoping you'll move on, but it's not
Okay,
happening, is it? Till I
from
say
the Cracker
yes,
Jacks.
I had the Cracker Jacks. They were amazing.
Okay,
Tell me more.
so I had to look all this up because I saw a post from someone I used to know. I don't even
Okay.
know why we're still Facebook friends because we obviously agree on nothing. I believe I am not defriending this person because I'm doing that thing where I'm like, oh, you disagree with me so bad, you defriend me.
I mean, for
It's
me,
combative.
Facebook is sort of a graveyard of like because I don't do it that I don't pay attention to Facebook a whole lot. So it's sort of a graveyard of like I don't know who I'm friends with on Facebook. And I'm
I do
sure
and don't. And again, this was another indication of my mood for the weekend. I was just kind of like scrolling unhappily. I'm generally like much sunnier than this, but as I said, had a bad weekend, was in a mood. So I see a post of someone that I used to know, and you said like this person was actually a friend of mine,
okay.
like 20 odd years ago. And it was a picture of a bag of these Cracker Jill snacks with the caption, Cracker Jill? Seriously? And I knew. I even said to myself, like, I did the thing where I typed my first post, then I walked away. I was like, do not post that. Do not post it, Heather. But I came back and my combative little spirit post. So what I posted was, who cares? Why are you so concerned with the names of snack foods? Don't you have better things to focus on? We're friends once. You're better than this unimportant nonsense. And then this cracked me up. I was really in a bad mood. Show me on the dowel where the snack food hurt you.
Oh, oh my.
Mean, right?
I mean, I don't know. Not entirely undeserved, but
Not undeserved, but I know what I did. And don't get me wrong, this is not like, ooh, I poked the bear. This is like poking the mouse.
Right.
like the mouse that's already in a glue trap. Like, it was mean, though it does still make me laugh about the show me on the doll where the snack food hurt you. I think that was a pretty good line. So then, I mean, I printed all this out. I can read the diatribe I got back. Do you want me to read it?
Is it very long?
I mean, not with how quickly I read.
Okay.
Because what happened was the person who responded did the weird thing where I think they responded with two different versions of their response.
Okay.
And then because I was still feeling mean today, I also saw that it had been edited like 5 times. There's a lot of thought put into this. It's all right. I find the typical "why do you care" response very ironic and interesting at the same time. Ironic in that if it doesn't matter, why would it bother you when someone pushes? I'm not correcting typos like I usually would when I'm feeling kind.
Mhm.
When someone pushes back or questions it. Also, why would a company spend so much money and effort on a campaign if they didn't at least think it was accomplishing something? I personally think this ongoing crap is completely ridiculous or disingenuous at the very least. This BS is all about money and nothing more. It's about maintaining a social credit score tied to investments. This is why they do it, despite losing money in most cases. This company has been around for 130 years, and all of a sudden, in 2023, it's imperative to have a cracker Jill representing women in sports. Please! And the biggest question there is why can only women support other women? I mean, isn't that the other point? Why can't Cracker Jack just support women in sports without changing their iconic character to a female? That's the small picture, which is somewhat inconsequential. The big picture here is why it matters, because we are currently entangled in a culture war. And these small things are how the battle is fought and won. If we ignore these things and let it go, there is no end to it. Little by little, our history and culture is crumbling away to nothing. Many of us are sick and for me, it's not about a box of candy that I don't eat or a beer that I don't drink. It's about history, culture. Thank God we still live in a country where we can speak freely against the things we oppose or disagree with. There are many of us that keep trying to change that fact. I believe in free speech and open expression of ideas regardless of the opposition. I will not be silenced. If you can at least respect me, do what you gotta
So this is all very obvious. I think the thing that jumps out at me with all of these things
do.
is when people are like, "Oh, they're just doing it for the money." Well, no crap, it's a business.
Yeah,
So yes, but then
it's for
they
the
also
money.
like there's also with all of these things, there's also this speaking out both sides of their mouths.
Yes, it's
Because
contradictory, right? It
yeah,
doesn't
because it's
matter. It's just about money. Our foundation in this nation is crumbling away to nothing.
well, no, what I was going to say was so they talk about how this is all about money, but then they go, "Oh, they're going to lose money. Go woke, go broke." So is your argument that this is all disingenuous and about money because that's sort of obvious because it's a business, or is it that, or are you so worried about the finances of? Are you very concerned about the finances of Cracker Jacks? I mean, is that something that keeps you up at night? That you're
I've,
are you a stockholder in Cracker Jack that you're worried that this is gonna lose the money? But it is wild. The level of drama over, and and this is really where so I will say to you with a slight bit of there's a hint of criticism I'm about to give. Can you handle it? Are you ready?
is it that I shouldn't be engaging with this at all?
Well, so the problem is it's not that you shouldn't be engaging in it. It's that um engaging with it feeds it, right? Like as far
Yeah,
as the algorithms and everything, like engaging with it makes more people see that post, and they don't see your
yeah.
response necessarily. They just see what the person posted originally. So that is where I would say, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't engage. But you know what? I get it. I've done it too. My
I mean,
strategy
and
is like,
again, I point the finger at myself saying I should not. I should have had that as an inside thought, or if I needed to be real snarky, taken a screen cap and like messaged you and said like, "Oh man, I'm just dying to say." Blah, blah, blah. That's what I
well,
should have done.
And I love that, like, this is part of why I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, because it's so like people you went to high school with and your grandma and stuff.
Hmm.
Um Twitter I like a little better, because Twitter I will just screenshot the thing and be like, look at this dummy. And I sort of I'm so what I like about Twitter is I feel very comfortable being completely ruthless, as far as, somebody mocked something dumb I had posted on Twitter. And it was really like, it was a weird, it wasn't even one of my political things that I'm very strident about and I expect people to get really mad about. But for the most part, I think my social media following or group or mutual group is, I've winnowed it to pretty much people on my same wavelength. So
Hmm.
this was a weird thing that some random stranger was really mad about me, really mad about. Basically I made fun of this is weird. So I made fun of at the gym, like how how, like, I'm always wearing like a t-shirt with like Miss Piggy on it, but all
Uh-huh.
the other t-shirts are like, I will walk through Valhalla in pursuit of perfect. It's always like it's very dramatic, like, it's the no
Yeah.
pain, no gain, but like that got sort of passe. So everything's like, it's like progressively more overly dramatic.
Uh-huh.
And some random like Twitter woman was very like extremely upset about this. She was like, oh, Mr. And she went right to like, oh, Mr. Entitled White Male thinks he knows everything about gyms and t-shirts or whatever. And I was like, what? This is a weird thing to be mad about. Me making fun of hypothetical t-shirts of people you don't know at my gym. Um, but she kind of went on, and she went first. I posted a really like sarcastic response. I was like, thank you,
Hmm.
random stranger. I'm really interested in your opinion on what I think about t-shirts at the gym. And she goes, oh, well, good, because blah, 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 blah. And I just wrote, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. What I meant to tell you was to F off. And I didn't say it.
Yeah.
I spelled out the word. So that is my like, my social media strategy is I tend not to engage with other people's stuff unless I do it like shady. Like, I'm going to take a screenshot of this and then comment on it, so you don't even know that I
Hmm.
said anything. Um, Not because I care if you know that I said anything about your stupid thing, but because I don't want to boost your engagement.
Yeah. I'm,
And then if people respond to mine, I'm like, I'm basically like, I said what I said. I'm not here to defend myself.
I will tell you this about boosting the um the algorithm. I'm aware of this because this went on like after the long histrionic response about the our culture and history crumbling away to nothing,
And
and
that's all wild that people say
this
stuff like that
person
with a
will
straight
not be
face.
silenced. I responded, a quick Google shows that PepsiCo didn't change their iconic character to a female. Sailor Jack is perfectly fine. He's just got a friend now. I hope that makes this snack food mascot edition less upsetting. Who's trying to silence you, friends? I hear you loud and clear, and I recognize that you're using your voice to, in effect, advertise these Cracker Jill snacks. I didn't even know they were a thing until I saw your post. Now I'll definitely pick them up when next I'm snack food shopping.
Which is a lie.
Who
Which
might
is
though?
a lie
Because
you've told.
I mean, people like them when they're at my house. They're like a popular snack. So if they're like Cracker Jacks, why not get Cracker Jills, you know?
Are they? Because I've seen this. I've seen the same Cracker Jack boxes at your house through multiple parties.
They're not the same ones.
Okay.
I just picked up before I knew about Cracker Jill, I just picked up a new supply of Cracker Jacks
All
the
right.
other day last time I was at the store.
All right.
They're so this is a snack. I don't really eat them myself because I don't have a sweet tooth. I'd rather go for like the Cheetos or something from the snack bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people here, like when they come over, people go for Cracker Jacks
Okay.
and might go for Cracker Jills. Um, but so now I'm really like doubling down on the who is trying to silence you.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know. And I'll tell you this, Ross. I have an idea because did I have to mention that this is a cis out white dude who's losing his mind over a snack food?
Well,
Did I need to say that? Did you? Or was that just the
you know what? I
demographic
was
you
picturing. I
assumed?
was honestly, because you didn't specify, I was honestly picturing a white lady for some reason.
It's a
Um.
dude. It's a dude
Okay.
who's real worked up about these
Okay.
snacks.
Because white ladies get
And
really worked up about stuff too. But
yeah. Um and then there was some contradictory stuff because someone who appeared from name and profile picture to be a woman did ask like, what's so bad about supporting women in sports? And this guy is like, well, what does Cracker Jack even have to do with sports? But earlier in the thread, he had posted, not to mention, when I think sports, I think Cracker Jacks. Like I've got the receipts right here. But
It's
I'm really doubling down. My last, and I haven't received a response, which surprises me. I say, who is trying to silence you, friend? You mentioned at least twice that you will not be silenced. So it seems to be a big concern of yours. I don't see anyone in this thread even requesting, much less insisting or demanding you be quiet. I want to know so bad, but Ross, I'm going to tell you who I think is trying to silence it.
Is it the woke mob?
It's the M&Ms.
Oh, yeah, that'll
It
do it.
took everything I had to not go blink twice if the M&Ms are trying to silence you.
Um, it is wild. It is. I mean, I don't know how you I don't know how you give a crap. I really don't. Like, with something like that, other than going like, "Oh, what a nice initiative." I don't know why they're doing it. I don't really care. I don't feel that strongly about Cracker Jacks, so it's not really something that's going to bother me one way or another, except to go like, "Oh, that sounds nice, I guess." I don't know. Sure. Why not? Um, I I, I I don't know how well. I don't know. I still like everything. I sort of blame social media of like the way it exacerbates these. I don't know how, like we've said before about so many things, I don't know how you cannot hear yourself like screaming and crying about Cracker Jacks. I just like, who cares about Cracker Jacks? Who feels strongly about Cracker Jacks?
I'll tell you, this man does sound like he is suffering.
And I bet he never cared about. I bet if you like go through if you I bet if you were to go through his social media, there probably are not a lot of previous references to Cracker Jacks. This
I
is probably not
certainly
someone who is
don't recall, like, had a great weekend camping with my daughters, made sure to bring the Cracker Jacks.
Yeah, I
Like,
bet this person
my
never
family's
really
a Cracker Jack family.
Yeah. You see these people getting so upset about stuff they didn't like care about anyway.
Like,
I mean,
got a new car. Now I got plenty of room to bring home the Cracker Jacks.
at, at least, at least if there were that, you could go, okay, this is somebody who
This
obviously cares
person,
way too much about
yeah,
Cracker
like showing
Jacks.
off his new Sailor Jack tattoo and stuff. Like, finally got my Cracker Jack Sailor Jack. I can make him dance. He's on my bicep. You know,
Well, and there's
I
stuff
could
like,
see people who are like really into the original logo because it is an old company and stuff. If
mhm,
Cracker Jack had actually, like, instead of adding a character, gone and redone the sailor,
yeah.
maybe I could see, because as far as I recall, there's like nothing that needs to be redone about the sailor. He's fine.
You know what? I also would not care about that at all.
No,
One little
but
bit.
he is like a cool enough image that someone might have a tattoo.
So I'm gonna tell you, it looks like I'm just looking really quickly. It looks like the Cracker Jack logo has changed many times. And
Oh,
I'm seeing various different. I'm just looking really quickly, and I'm seeing various Cracker Jack logos over the years, including a current one that is like a cartoonier version of um,
oh,
that
I'll
sailor guy.
admit I have
So,
not. I do buy the Cracker Jacks to put in the snack bowl. I
mhm.
don't. I don't inspect the packaging. I'll tell
Yeah,
you quite honestly.
yeah. I think the logo that you're picturing is not the logo now,
It's
or it's
entirely
it's not,
possible.
or maybe it's not always the logo because there seems to be a different one when I'm looking really quickly.
Yeah,
So, I
I
think
would. Yeah, I'd have to Google, and then I would have to like go down to the cupboard and get
mhm,
out the Cracker Jacks I just
right.
purchased and have a look to
Um,
tell you what the logo really is.
Yeah, companies change logos all the time, so that also, there are times when I'm like, oh, I don't like the logo as much as the old one, but also,
I
and then I
don't
go,
buy products for the logos. Usually I buy them because I want to eat them, or I think my guests will want to eat them.
yeah, yeah,
If Cracker Jack changed their formula, and I think they have since I was a kid, like I can see that if the food tasted different,
so if it tasted different, I would go, oh wow, that sort of stinks. I don't like Cracker Jacks as much anymore.
that
Poo
would be
hoo.
it. I don't
And then
know
I
if I
don't.
would
It's not a
take to
culture
social
war.
media.
Yeah,
You
and even
wouldn't
I
think that
did,
the flavor of Cracker Jack um changing was a way to crumble away our foundations in history to nothing.
Yeah, because I might think like, oh, these don't taste as good as they used to. And then I would go, oh, I didn't really like Cracker Jacks that much before. So, and then I'd go, oh, you know what? I've got time to feed the dogs. And that's as far like that is literally as far as that thought would go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I don't because again, I they're a thing that I keep around to have for snacks. So it's not like I never think of Cracker Jacks. I've been thinking about Cracker Jacks a lot since yesterday. I'm like, wow, what a weird thing to think about so much.
Well, and I mean, there's stuff too that so like Chick-fil-A. I won't eat at Chick-fil-A. I wouldn't anyway, so
Yes.
it's fine. That's an easy one to
Well,
boycott because I don't
that's
eat
the
that kind of
next
food.
one.
Well, so and what I do about that is A, if you asked me why I don't eat at Chick-fil-A, I could give you the reasons in specificity, not like nebulous, like, well, I believe in the history of our country that fried chicken is not on a bun is not a reasonable thing that for our
No,
history and
like
culture.
I
But I'd
refer to it
go,
as bigot chicken and
yeah,
say that
but
they have
I could
anti-gay
okay,
policies.
sure. But I could, I would say that if you asked me. But otherwise, mostly what I do about it is I just drive by Chick-fil-A.
Do you make a vulgar gesture? I do usually make a vulgar gesture at the building.
I do sometimes. Yeah. But I don't really
It's nice
like
in Henrietta where there's the Hobby Lobby next to the Chick-fil-A because then I just make the vulgar gesture as I drive right by both of them.
exactly. Yeah. I don't really need to cry about it. I just go like,
No.
"Oh, I don't like these companies. I'm not going to give them my money. If anyone asks me, I will tell you why." But
Oh, yeah.
most of the time I don't think much about them. I just think I don't like that. I'm not going to give them my money and I drive on by and I might give them the finger, I might not, but hey.
I definitely have never, I also don't like Hobby Lobby.
Mhm.
I can't think of a single time I've posted that much or at all about Hobby Lobby.
No, I
But
think once or twice with those like I might be like, "Hey, just a reminder that here's why this is bad."
still bad. Yeah.
And but it's a very specific reason. It's like, oh, this dollar goes to this,
Yes.
goes to this, goes to this, and these are the policies that this is impacting. It's not like, oh, if there's a Cracker Jill, somehow I think it will it will go back in time and destroy the history of the United States. Like
It will.
it's not that, it's a little more specific than that.
Yeah. No. And also, apparently, Cracker Jack is somehow trying to silence this man. Or Cracker Jill. I don't know which one of them has him at gunpoint.
Right. Cuz
Are the
cuz
M&Ms
crack
ran on it? I don't know.
Because Cracker Jill, I don't want to assume Cracker Jack's gender identity or sexuality, but I think we're led to believe that Cracker Jack is a cis straight man. I think that's heavily implied. He's probably thrilled to have a Cracker Jill around, you know?
I would think so.
I mean, he's been single for what, a century at
As far as
least.
we know, yeah,
Yeah.
130 years. The
Yeah.
iconic character. I'm not sure I'd call him iconic. I
They're
mean,
also
especially,
it's also weird. It also kills me with this stuff where like, okay, you're a cisgender straight man. I don't know why you're so mad that there's girls in stuff.
and
Like,
another
cause
weird thing,
I
this is a real dismaying thing. This guy
yeah,
has two daughters.
yeah,
And that actually, like, a lot of this, as much as I'm making fun of it, which isn't nice of me, but I think we've established I'm not always nice. This is actually someone I used to care about and consider a friend.
hmm,
And I feel sad that this is the road that this
yeah,
person has chosen. I
yeah.
swear they used to be like somewhat thoughtful and creative and artistic.
It's
And I don't see that anymore at
it's
all. And I think that's something like I'm making a big deal about this, I think, a little bit because that actually pains me that this is someone I used to have fun with. We used to hang out.
well,
And this is, we've diverged so much.
it's inexplicable how um again, well, and you know, who does this kind of stuff benefit? It sort of benefits the status quo in that, you know, we're all going to fight over Cracker Jacks and we're and this is, shame on us as liberals too with this stuff. And I'm not talking about you like responding to on Facebook, but there's sort of a broader issue too of like, you know, we have these screaming matches over Cracker Jacks.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, we have abortion bans, we have drag
Yes.
bans, we have, it's all these things. And I think, and I'm not even suggesting that there's like an orchestration here, but I think there is a cultural drive toward getting us to worry about the stupidest stuff possible
Yeah.
while our pockets are
Well,
being picked and our rights are being taken away,
and isn't it easier to, like, it's easier to argue about Cracker Jacks,
True,
you
true.
know?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's an interesting point because it also
It
seems like
doesn't
we've
hurt
gone.
as much.
It doesn't hurt as much, and it doesn't require you to do any real research. You know what I mean? It doesn't require as much work as like, oh, if I'm gonna learn about, if I'm gonna learn about women's bodies so I can speak with knowledge about, not that, that's been a requirement, but it doesn't hurt as much and it doesn't require you to do any research. You can just kind of have a gut feeling about Cracker Jack, and Jacks, and that's probably fine because like how much is there to know about Cracker Jacks? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can have that argument without doing a single bit of work. You can just go, I don't like seeing girls. I'm a
Yeah.
cisgender straight man who somehow gets really mad whenever he sees a girl on anything, which is it's so weird to me. I mean, I think about like cisgender gay men, right? And we're known for really loving women in a lot of
Uh-huh.
ways, like, being obsessed with, you know, Tina Turner, who just passed, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Being really obsessed with, a certain, Joan Crawford, that, stereotype that's sort of true. Um, but then also like, I don't really get mad when there's like a boy in something. I'm not like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm like, oh, I am attracted to boys. Is this an attractive boy? I don't need to be attracted. I'm not saying, I'm not saying the male presence needs to be sexually attractive to me, but, um,
But
I
it
don't have
doesn't
an,
hurt.
it, I mean, it doesn't like, I don't instinctively go, no, ew, boy, it's gross.
Yeah. No, neither do I. When I, like I said, I bought the Cracker Jack brand of Cracker Jack, and I did not in the store. Honestly, I didn't think one way or another whether it was Sailor Jack on the package.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty weird.
Also,
Um,
also, Cracker Jack is a line drawing that, in actuality, really doesn't have a gender. It's a two-dimensional drawing on a piece of paper.
yep. But
We've
yeah, it's
assigned it a gender. We've assigned Cracker Jack a gender, but in fact, Cracker Jack is just a drawing on a piece of cardboard.
well, I am awaiting further commentary on who is doing the silencing. I
Fair enough.
This is another bad trait that I have. Sometimes if I really, really want a question answered, I won't drop it.
Hmm.
It's bad.
I've learned that
It's
about you.
bad. It's bad. It's bad. I don't think I mean, hopefully I've never done that to you because it's annoying.
um,
You've heard me do it though.
I think I've heard you do it. I don't know that you've ever done it to me, but I've
I don't think I
witnessed.
have. I think I would remember. Because I try not, I don't, that's another impulse I try not to give into too often, but I might be down this Cracker Jack hole. Just quick, I know we've got more stuff to move on to, but along these lines, Ross, I am dismayed on behalf of all the people like my former friend who posted about Cracker Jacks. I'm dismayed for him and all of his buddies that Chick-fil-A is going woke. Did you hear about this?
I heard a little bit about it, but I didn't care. So
Yeah.
you probably have more details than I do.
Oh, it's terrible. So, Ross, this is so upsetting. This is a recent article from Tuesday, May 30th. Can't remember where I got it from. It was some actual conservative thing, which, boy, yeah. Well, Chick-fil-A was trending on social media Tuesday after details from the popular fast food chain on its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is often abbreviated to DEI, were highlighted by certain Twitter accounts. Conservative critics were quick to pounce on the news, claiming the restaurant chain had gone woke. Some popular conservative Twitter accounts even floated the idea of boycotting Chick-fil-A over the news, with one people receiving tens of thousands. Yes, boycott so far. Again, while it's unclear exactly how old the DEI details from Chick-fil-A are, being at least months old at this point, the old-fashioned call for boycotts are very new. We have a problem. Chick-fil-A just hired a VP of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is bad. Very bad. I don't want to have to boycott. Are we going to have to boycott? Says Joey Monorino, a conservative political strategist who runs a Twitter account with over 100,000 followers.
Yeah,
Another commentator says DEI is literal wokeness. You could dress it up in nice language that appeals to your Christianity. It's empathy. But in practice, it always boils down to the same soak jokes nonsense that is destroying every industry and institution.
you know what I hate most about that is when people say this stuff, like no one ever goes, "What do you mean by woke?" No one has ever asked for a definition of what you're even talking about with that. Because people, because you'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get an ice cream cone," and they'll be like, "That's woke," and everybody goes, "Yeah," and they point their fingers at you, and you're like, "I don't understand what you're saying," because it's from like because it's from girl cows. I don't know. Like it's always like, and the answer is, as with, when you hear about socialism, which was and which was always the code word for always the code word for things that would benefit Black people, or these code words. I mean, the answer is always it's a way of saying the thing we don't want to, the thing we don't quite feel like we should be able to say. And we all go, "Oh, aren't we smart? Because we just called it woke instead." We're like,
Yes.
"Oh, I saw a Black person at this thing. Isn't that woke?" And then they think like, "Oh, I didn't say anything racist. I just said woke." And it's like, well, it was pretty clear.
Yeah.
We know what you're saying. And I hate it that like even like news media people, you'll see, politicians or people use this word like, "Well, it's woke." And no one ever goes, "What do you mean by that? Specifically, please." No one ever does.
No, they
Because
certainly don't. Because I have heard a Trump supporter in my life who has started referring to things as woke. And I will say, like, how is that woke? Because, again, like, I had a bad
and
weekend. I'm
define
not a very nice person.
and
And there's
define
really
woke.
not a good answer given to me when I say, like, what? How's that woke? Because that's the tone. Like, the tone isn't nice.
Yeah. And what does woke mean? What is
Right.
it? What do you mean by that?
I have not received an answer.
No. Because
And
they feel like they're being so clever. It's like the "Let's Go Brandon" thing. We're being so clever.
well, and then you get me. I'm a freaking dog with a squirrel, small dog energy over here. And I'm just barking away. What do you mean, whoa? What do you mean, whoa?
Yeah. I I yeah, it's one of the newest, most annoying because again, lay it out. If
Yeah,
you're so confident that you're correct and you're so proud of yourself, then just say what you're trying to say.
yeah.
Using the
Just
word
be
woke as
honest.
opposed to like as opposed to saying like, "I don't like Black people, I don't like gay people. I don't want them near me.
Right?
I don't think they should exist."
Yes, and
Just
I don't think they should
say
get a chicken
it.
sandwich.
In fact, if there's anybody of that mindset listening to this, I challenge you, I beg you, and I will have not a lot more respect for you, but I will have more respect for you. I please just say what you mean, because it's frankly you're exhausting and nobody's
Mm-hmm.
buying it, and we're tired. So
It's so
please
tiring.
stop
And
making me
it's
tired. Just say what you want to
so,
say. Just speak your truth. And if your truth is, "I don't want to be near a Black person ever," which is what you're saying, and we know it's what you're saying, just say it.
mhm,
Please.
yep.
It's
Or a
exhausting.
gay person, or I really hate that women are in sports and I don't want them represented on snack food packaging.
Yeah. I'm a
I'm
cisgender straight man who gets very upset when a woman is involved in anything.
well, yeah,
Just say
and
it.
I can see how it would make this cishet white guy very insecure, seeing himself not represented on a snack food package.
Yeah. And you
The
know
thing
what?
with Chick-fil-A, like this is, I mean, this is in a way, it's funny to me because now its base is like, oh, we better boycott them. But then we're already boycotting them. But then again, as you said, with both you and you and me, we are boycotting. I think that's the grammar on it. Our boycott kind of, we wouldn't be going there anyway because we don't eat chicken.
Yeah, I love a boycott of a thing that I wasn't going to do anyway.
I know. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
But it sounds, I mean, again, these people are in so much pain. I mean, the stress and the fear of, I don't want to have to boycott. Are we going to have to boycott?
Yeah. And I
Gosh,
boycott
buddy.
things. And you know what? Boycott. I boycott things all the time. I boycott places because the server was mean to me. I mean, like, I love a boycott. It's just boycott, do it. I don't you don't and here, I mean, here's the sad truth. No one cares. And I know that, occasionally I will do my little informational thing about here's why I don't like Chick-fil-A. But
Yeah.
ultimately, at the end of the day, no one cares if I go to Chick-fil-A or not. No one cares. No one cares if you're boycotting Chick-fil-A. Just,
Though,
I do it because I don't want them to have my money.
I would like to ask you specifically about this because I've heard other, specifically gay podcasters, men who identify as cis gay men. They've said like it actually hurts their feelings when their friends are like, but Chick-fil-A is so good. Like it
Yeah.
actually it does hurt their feelings, like
Okay,
specifically.
I'm going to so I'm gonna back away from what I said earlier a little bit to say, it makes me angry. It does.
Okay.
And it doesn't
Yeah,
make me
because
like, it doesn't let me just it doesn't make me it doesn't make me hate them or anything. It just makes me feel like I wish you cared more about something that's important to me. But I also think it's not like the biggest issue. You know what I mean? I don't think
mhm,
it's if it's a canary in the coal mine for you not caring about other issues, then I care more. But if it's just like, I feel like there are a lot there. I feel like we live in an era where every company's kind of bad. And we're all kind of making decisions on a moment to moment, day by day basis about like
mhm,
which bad company is less bad to us. So if it's just a thing of like, I really like Chick-fil-A, so I just go there sometimes. I don't like that. It kind of makes me a little mad at you, honestly, but it's not it's not the end all be all unless that's just the tip of the iceberg of other things you don't care about. I feel like that's a very public one though, where even though other companies might be similarly bad, Chick-fil-A has made themselves the public face of badness.
mhm,
So I do feel like it stands out more. And especially if you're going to defend going there,
mhm.
yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Okay.
And I don't approve of it, and it makes me a little mad if you do that.
Okay.
But again, is it tops of my list of things that are going to make me mad at you? Not necessarily. It's in there.
I'm glad I asked about that because I had heard other people say that personally for them in their experience, it hurts their feelings.
Yeah.
And I understand why. Yeah, because Chick-fil-A is, and that's what I kind of don't understand about them getting this diversity and inclusion employee because they've been very, very out and proud and they say what they mean. We don't like gay people and we are
Well,
going to give a lot of money to places that don't support and actively work to harm gay people.
yeah, and I mean a lot of that is a lot of times that position is like legal and regulatory, like making sure you're like it's not necessarily that position doesn't necessarily have anything to do with gay people. It could be more about racial
That's
diversity,
true.
which is fine. And I mean, Chick-fil-A is I don't know what their track record there is. That's not something they've been vocal about. So I'll assume maybe they're a little better with like racial diversity. I don't know.
Maybe.
But also a lot of times someone in that position, it's making sure that they're following the law.
Okay, so it's just a regulatory thing.
It may or may
Well,
not be, but I don't. I mean,
and there's
and
not a
again,
lot of information here about it.
yeah. And Chick-fil-A's in a lot of areas. Again, it might be about how do we get more black customers? How do we get more black employees? And that's is that a bad thing? I don't know. I feel like it's probably not the end of the world. Again, I'm still not going to go to Chick-fil-A, but
Mm-mm.
um I feel like if they decide as a business that we could be doing more to get, black customers or Hispanic customers, or we need, or black employees or Hispanic employees. That's not necessarily a moral awakening that the company has had. That is just them going, hey, we would like more money from other segments of the population.
Yeah. Yep. Well, a lot of people are also upset because Chick-fil-A shouldn't be caring about what any kind of government or corporate structure says, despite the fact that it's a corporation. It should be caring what God thinks above all.
And everyone knows God does not want black people to eat chicken.
But
I don't know
so
what the I don't know what
that
the
is,
God I don't, yeah, I don't know what the Christian argument there is, but
I am done with my ranting and raving. Thank you for putting up with my dramatic readings of some things that came from the internet.
okay, so I want to do a quick I want to take a couple minutes because so with these drag bands we're seeing around the country, this is going to be on the same wavelength, people. So if you were expecting something fun, just I don't know, move along.
No, this
Um,
is just going to be like less histrionic, I think. Or maybe it'll be equally
um,
as histrionic because people, boy, they live to get completely bunched up about drag bands.
well, so with a lot of these drag bands, and we've talked about this, so drag bands are obviously bad. I'm just going to say bad. We've talked about the reasons why they're bad. To me, they're self-evidently bad, but we've talked about the specific reasons they're bad. But they're also so impacting the livelihoods and work and culture of drag queens is bad enough, right?
Hmm.
But also I do see these things as a way to get to trans people. Like I
Oh,
think that's
yes,
the and there's intersections there. So I'm not saying those are
of
necessarily
course.
separate categories. Those are there are definitely intersections there. But you know, but then some of these things happen and you're like, okay, so in Montana, for example, there is a drag ban that's basically like it's basically it's basically saying you can't wear clothes of the other gender in any type of performance space where children might be present, which and you go, okay, this is broad enough that um what if there's a transgender cellist in an orchestra?
Yes.
And people go, oh no. I mean, really, you're being so dramatic. That is ridiculous. So this just happened, with like a month or two into Montana's drag band.
Hmm.
Um, there was a woman named Adria Jawort, and I'm sure I'm mangling that name, so I apologize. This is a Two Spirit author. I've seen different categories, or not categories. I've seen different things in different articles um describing Audrey Jawort as Two Spirit, as transgender. I haven't seen from Audrey Jawort exactly how she uses female pronouns as far as I can tell, she her, but I'm going to use transgender and Two Spirit both and possibly a little bit interchangeably. I haven't seen exactly how she identifies, so I'm just a little wiggle room there, but
Hmm.
she does use the term Two Spirit, but I've also seen transgender used interchangeably. Anyway, so she was due to speak at a library, a Montana library. So she's an author, a Northern Cheyenne activist and journalist. She was going to basically talk about her book at the Butte Silver Bow Public Library in Montana. The event was canceled by the county government because basically there was a Facebook complaint about how Audrey Ward might hypothetically dress at this event. So basically, this indigenous Two Spirit author, based on this drag ban, was prevented by the government. And I've seen articles saying like library cancels event, and that's not true. The library did not cancel the event. The
Okay.
government, the county government representing the state government of Montana, um, forbade the library from hosting this event based on the drag ban, based on what Audrey DeWart might hypothetically be wearing. From a Facebook complaint is where this started. Um, which is, I mean, like this is the beginning. And when transgender people talk about transgenocide, when they talk about transgender
Mhm.
people, attempts to erase transgender people, attempts to erase transgender people from public life. I mean, this is a woman who was going to speak at the library, and in American law and American culture. So when you talk about the First Amendment, this is clearly a First Amendment issue. I mean, it's I get, which is why it's important to distinguish. This was not the library that canceled it. This was the county government, to which the First Amendment applies. It's a big deal. It's one thing if there's a speech that happens and then something comes out of it later, right? And then there's somebody sues because it was libel or somebody.
Mhm.
To prevent someone from speaking preemptively is a big deal and not something we're supposed to be doing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yet here we are. And this is not going to be the last. I mean, the fact that
No.
you could see this coming a mile away, and here we are 3 meters in,
Mhm.
and it's already happened. Again, this is, and this could be, you know, I mean, and based on this law, I'm going to wear a skirt.
Yes.
Cisgender me is going to go to the library and speak before people. I'm going to wear a skirt.
I mean, sometimes David Sedaris wears skirts on stage.
Absolutely. Um, and I
So that is
don't
not
know.
unheard of. And I'm thinking about, I've been following a number of lesbian comedians just on like TikTok and whatnot because they're really
Yeah.
funny. But a lot of them wear suits that one might look at and consider to be a traditionally masculine cut.
Yeah. And
But I mean, it's clothes on their bodies, they're just dressed.
I mean, and the thing about these laws, the broadness of them is sort of intentional. And this is how, this is some of the laws about, there were laws on the books in this country within the last decade or two, depending on what state you went to, that made being gay illegal, 100% illegal. And they'd go, oh, but we don't enforce it, so don't worry about it. So they'd stay on the books, but then you got to pick and choose. And that was what was handy about that, is because if there was somebody you didn't like, for instance,
Mhm.
this indigenous author who apparently
Right.
we didn't want to hear speak, we can decide. We can go, oh no, we're not gonna, ladies, we're not gonna, if you're just because you're wearing slacks, we're not gonna go after that unless it's somebody we don't like, in which case, oh boy, that really could fall
Mhm.
under this, the definition of this. I mean, it is really, um the freedom crowd is awfully sensitive about someone, what, listening to what someone might actually have to say. I mean, this is uh, people need to be paying attention to this, because this is, there are these drag bans are across multiple states now. um under a future Trump presidency, they could be national.
Yeah.
um and that is a goal of a lot of people. And again, it's an effort to, we've gotten, thank you, JK, we've gotten trans people out of the bathrooms now, and now we're trying to get them out of the libraries. What's next?
Yeah. And it is interesting because even referring to them, which I don't know what else we would really refer to them as, so this maybe isn't helpful, but calling them drag bands definitely makes people think that the scope is much more narrow than it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really
Because
good
when you
point.
say drag ban, you think maybe like, oh, well, they're not letting the kids into the nightclubs at nighttime when there's drunk adults
Mm,
around. Sounds perfectly reasonable. I don't want the child in the bar, as we've discussed. But when you really look at them, as you just laid out here, it's the cellist in the orchestra, it's the artist at the library speaking.
yeah.
It's not just what one might think when one thinks very quickly, just knee jerk reaction. Oh, drag show nighttime adult event. Of course, we don't want the kids there.
Right. and and
So
and
that's
that's
another kind of insidious way of phrasing things that, like, oh, well, how many people is it going to affect anyway? A lot, like a
exactly.
lot.
And it's going to impact the people we don't feel like listening to, as the government of Montana. It's going to impact the people who, you know this can and is clearly being already. I think this is a great example of, how do we silence speech against our currently in power politicians? Well, there you go. We found a way. You were and Stonewall. If you go to if you look back to Stonewall, Stonewall happened because the police were, and this is within, it's not, well, Stonewall's not within my lifetime, but it's certainly within the lifetime of people who aren't that much older than me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
the police
recent.
were the police were enforcing. I mean, Stonewall happened because the police were enforcing um, laws about what clothing you could be wearing given a particular gender. Again, the kind of thing they only enforced if it was a community of people that they really wanted to bother.
Hmm.
If you were if you were a rich white person somewhere in a, at a fancy party or whatever, I'm sure that the police weren't, the police weren't busting down dress parties or, Shakespeare performances. They
Hmm.
were, it was, oh, here's this community of lower class, non-white people, and we can extort them, we can beat them up, we can
Yeah,
do whatever we want. That's why Stonewall happened. And the fact that we're back to laws about what clothing you can wear in
yeah,
the name of freedom somehow is, well, it needs to be paid attention to, and it needs to be fought um by queer people and queer, I mean, allies need to wake up to this as well. I think this is a time for people to not be to not be quiet.
well, and it's interesting too because even cishet people could be affected by this. It's
Oh yeah.
unlikely given the fact that I'm a middle-aged white woman, but I could certainly walk down the street in actual men's clothing, like
Yeah.
men's-sized men's clothing. Probably nobody would blink an eye. But if I were like not a middle-aged white lady, or if somebody just wanted to like start something with me, like some cop was having a bad day and wanted to haul somebody in, me and my men's jeans, that is reason enough to drag me in.
Well, and we've seen too with the, this isn't so much government enforcement, or we're not at that point yet, but we've seen the little cell phone videos of, here's a straight white woman who just, or sorry, a cisgender straight woman in the bathroom who's just not pretty conventionally. And people go, "Oh, get out of here, man." And she's like, I'm a cisgender woman. And they're, I mean, we've seen these cell phone videos of people screaming at cisgender women for being in the ladies' room because, you know, somebody thought they looked a little mannish, so they must be trans.
Yeah, yeah, and that is, I remember talking about this with a Trump supporter in my life. Stop me if I've gone on at length about this on the show. But this Trump supporter was very much in favor of the bathroom bans. And I wanted to know what this person proposed we do for screening. Like, would I need to show my genitalia in order to use the restroom? Because there are an awful lot, like cis women, like natal women, who might have a more typically masculine aspect.
Yeah.
So would all individuals who wish to use the restroom, like how could we show proof? All I can think is we would need to show our genitalia and prove what what was in our skirts or pants or whatever outfits we were wearing, and then we would be allowed to use the bathroom. The Trump supporter in my life was of course appalled by this notion, and yet I can't figure out how else we can really know who's getting in the bathroom.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I need to see your genitalia before you can go pee. Or while you're peeing, that's fine. But you're the pervert. I mean, really, is what it comes
Right.
down to. I need to make
Yeah.
sure that I make sure I need to make sure that you're not a pervert. So let me watch you peeing. Not that there's anything wrong with what, if consensual peeing stuff. Nothing
No,
wrong at
but when
all.
it's like a weird,
At all. Heather,
I need to,
at
no, not at all.
all.
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
Um, but it is a strange idea. Like once you get to the practicality of that,
Yeah, but nobody wants to think that far. Nobody's, yeah, because they're dumb.
I, but I mean, it's just it's very interesting when someone is so staunchly going on about like these bathroom bans are important. We've got to keep the groomers and the pedophiles away, and it's like, well, okay, so what do you propose?
I need to watch you pee.
Or you just there's someone at the door before you go in, maybe in a little booth for like a certain amount of privacy,
Mhm.
and you just show your genitalia, and then like they approve or not.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
I
know.
think we've solved the problem.
I think we have.
Everybody, on that note, on the genitalia inspection note,
How
we
many
will leave
do
you.
you? How many times did we say genitalia this episode?
Probably more than we're allowed to legally
I think
before we get in
no, I think
trouble.
it's just like a human body part. I think you're certainly allowed to say it.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop saying it just because I'm starting to creep
Now I'm gonna
myself
be
out.
saying it for the rest of the night.
But you know what, everybody, we love you,
We
and
do.
we frankly don't care where you go pee. I think peeing is for everybody, and we will be back next week with more pee talk.
These gays, they're trying to murder me.
Oh my God, Jennifer Coolidge from White Lotus. Now you're getting it.
White Lotus? What? Who? No, I'm just pretty sure that you're trying to murder me.
I mean, I have in the past tried to murder you, and I might try to murder you again in the future, but I'm not trying to murder you currently.
That's why my heart goes padam padam.
Oh, ba-dum ba-dum.